My name is Givi. I'm a designer and a programmer, and I started Megzuri, which is a booking website for homes, hotels, and hostels in Georgia. So me and my friends, we were trying to find a place to stay in Pakuriani in the mountains of Georgia, and the process turned out to be really long and surprisingly difficult. We had to go through a friend of a friend of a relative or something like that. So we thought making a booking website where it'd be super easy to book a place would be a good idea. So we're pretty new. At the moment, we're completely self-funded, but we have a second company, an agency, where we use some of the same resources from our startup to build web and marketing campaigns for other companies. And we use some of that income to fund Megzuri. So I started Megzuri with two of my friends. Saba, he's another developer, and we code together. We always had the same hobbies and passions. So it's kind of a perfect fit. And my other friend, Gulo, we worked together for a few years in a different job. She's a finance expert, and she just kind of completes the team. Well, I hope that it will make traveling and staying in Georgia a lot easier, and it will attract a lot more travelers and bring more income to local hosts. I think if it's something that I would use personally for myself, and I really wish it existed and it doesn't, and I can make it and other people would also benefit from it, that's for me a perfect business opportunity. I was working in London at Universal Music, making marketing campaigns for different artists. I think I've always just liked to solve problems and improve existing things. So that kind of lends itself to being or becoming an entrepreneur. A regular day in my life, I think I wake up and I start coding and I go to sleep and I'm still coding. But in between, I work with my friends and co-founders. We're a small team, so we kind of do everything together and ourselves. We're getting in touch with the hosts. We're answering people on social media. We're doing all the advertising ourselves and so on. I think when the frustration builds up, you just kind of have to take a step away from it, clear your head, go out for a walk, maybe take a day off, and just come back to it with a clear head and just keep going. I love music a lot, so I'm probably doing something in music. My grandma believes in me, and I think she'd say I spend too much time in front of the computer. I try to work on the things that I'm not so good at. I try to learn as much as I can, but I also try to face things that I think are challenging, such as doing interviews. I think that's always really tricky, but I have friends who like to go out and do things, so I just rely on them to drag me away from work. I love being in a position where I can work for myself and run my own company, and I think that's a lot of motivation. There's this guy in the music world called Steve Duda, and he wrote and kind of programmed this software synthesizer called Serum. And the reason I kind of admire him is because he taught himself how to program from scratch, and he built a small team around it and now has one of the most popular pieces of software on the market in the music world. So this might not be great advice for anyone, but I sometimes, once in a while, I stay up really late into the night just so I can get a lot of work in a short space of time without any distractions. I think I kind of get my best work done when I have a long period of time that I'm completely focused on just one thing. Slack for communication, Google Keep for all my notes, and VS Code for programming. So I'd recommend Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time, anything by Alan Watts, and Norwegian Wood by Murakami, which is one of my favorite books. And these aren't startup or entrepreneurial books, but I think it's kind of important to keep your perspective open and read about other things to kind of inform yourself about what you're doing and why you're doing it. I think I could probably come up with a list of entrepreneurs, but I think I'd really just want to have Alan Watts on it, just to keep everything peaceful and zen. Through Megzuri, we're trying to give hosts locally, not just in the big cities, but in lesser developed regions and areas of Georgia, an international digital presence. And we try to help them set up their listings, take good photos of their places, and we provide that service for free just so we can attract more travelers and kind of boost the income of the local communities and people who are renting throughout Georgia. As far as I can tell, there's an up-and-coming startup scene in Georgia. I'm not really sure about how many funding opportunities there are. Maybe we're kind of lacking a centralized source of information where we can see what's going on. But overall, I think it's the right place to be. The pros are that it's super cheap and easy to start a company here, and you're in a perfect location to kind of work from or base your company from while you provide your services anywhere in the world. As far as the cons go, so far I can't really think of any. It's really hard to say what it will actually look like in 10 years time, but I think it's kind of turning into this tech hub. There are a lot more developers and designers and entrepreneurs and startup companies here now, and growing fast. And I think the rest of the world will kind of discover its potential. You can go to megzuri.ge, megzuri.ge, and it kind of tells you everything what the company's about, what we do, and this little about section that has a bit more information about us and the co-founders on the team. So my hidden inspiration source would have to be YouTube. And this might sound silly, but there's a lot of amazing content and videos on there for programmers and entrepreneurs. And I think a lot of people don't realize that you could change your entire career just by watching YouTube. I don't own any gadgets that would save me, so I'd probably just take my headphones and die listening to something I like instead of zombie growling and screaming. I'm really happy that you guys are doing this, and I think it's a really cool idea. And I'm excited to see what everybody else is up to and to find out more about other startup companies in Georgia.